Happy Wednesday, everyone. June 26th. Okay, there's some thing going on here. So just give me a minute or maybe 30 seconds. I think I could have this resolved with the stream because it's not public yet. So just give me a little bit to get me going with this. There's a little thing here. Okay. Let's start again. Happy Wednesday, June 26th, live on the topic of regretting life's decisions, regretting life's decisions. I know that this is something that is important because when you regret life's decisions and you dwell on it, it doesn't move your life forward. And I want to explain to you how you can take this life decision that you've had in the past that you believe you regret, but turning into an empowering moment for you so you could truly move your life forward and manifest a beautiful future. So that's the topic for today. So welcome everyone on this topic of regretting life decisions. So let's just clear the energy of the room. And before we do that, just a quick reminder of the 69 moons, traditional Chinese medicine formulas, Yu Ping Fang Sun Plus, which helps to support a healthy immune system, and Xiao Yao San Plus to help calm and focus your mind. These are based on traditional Chinese medicine, TCM. We added additional herbs to these formulas for better efficacy. So you can get those at shop.yinandyangliving.com, shop.yinandyangliving.com. Let's clear the energy of the room and then get started. Just breathe naturally, be present in the now. Dear God, angels, spirit guides, ascended masters, divine creator, thank you so much for allowing us to open the sacred space. Thank you so much for allowing us to be on this topic of regretting past life decisions to empower our future. Thank you so much for removing any low frequency energies that do not belong in this room. Thank you for allowing the session to go off without a hitch, with peace, serenity, flow, and to be able to channel these messages so that the viewers can truly benefit from this session and to have a lively engagement among all of us to benefit each other and to uplift each other and support each other for everyone's highest and best good. Thank you. And so it is. Namaste. So it is. Hello, Star Goddess 888. Hello, Miracles 88. Oh, 888. That is so synchronistic. Star Goddess 888. And then right below you is Miracles 888. Beautiful numbers, 888. Eight really represents kind of like a new beginning, a new chapter. And then you've got three of them. Beautiful. Numbers have power, numerology. Numbers really represent vibrational frequencies and energies. So I love the fact that I'm seeing 888 and then 888 at the bottom. Okay, so this topic on regretting life's decisions. So one of the reasons why I thought that it was important to talk about this topic is because many of us have regrets. I have had times in my life where I said I regret doing this. If I had done this better in my earlier years, I could have been doing this, or I could be at this position in my life or this place in my life, right? We question the decisions that we've made in the past, and some of those decisions, which we think are big decisions, we regret, right? I think we all have had some regret in our lives, even if you don't want to have regret. So I think it's honest to say that every single one of us has had regret, including me. And the thing is that what I find about regrets is that they don't move your life forward. All you're doing is you're harping on past energies, right? Though that energy has moved on. It's past. So it doesn't move your life forward. It doesn't do anything for your future. So it's kind of, it's useless. It's useless for the future, right? And then what happens is if you dwell on that regret more and more, you actually start to really sabotage your life at that point. Because what you're doing is you're really blocking your energetic flow. You're creating a low vibe frequency in your life. And you're basically holding your life down. You're literally, even though you want to move up, your soul wants to rise, what you're doing is you're literally holding your soul down, pressing it down, not allowing it to grow and expand. And that's what regret really does. It does not move anything forward. Now, where regret is so powerful is that when you regret, you might be able to examine the past of what you've done, and examining that past and reviewing that life decision in the past is a very powerful thing, because when you review that past and you see what you've done and you learn from it, then you apply that lesson to the future. Now you've got something really powerful there. But the question really is how do you see, when you're in that moment of regret, whether you made a decision financially, whether you made a decisions in a relationship. I've seen people regret, people that they've married or people that they've spent time with. Somebody said, oh, I spent 5 years of my life with that person and we're not together anymore. And there's a regret there. Or I made an investment in this, in this area, and I lost the money. Totally regret making that investment, right? And so sometimes when those regrets are big, they're like decisions that are big, it's not, whether it's a relationship, money, career, whatever, those big regrets, sometimes it's hard to really break out of that mentally and emotionally, because it was a pretty big decision, right? And it had some bigger consequences to that decision. And that's where we might get stuck, because it was a bigger decision. But the thing is that you have to understand that in terms of the universal forces, in terms of divine, there's really no bad decision. Let me repeat that. In a higher consciousness level, that you're a soul that's expanding and growing infinitely. So when your body goes, you're still expanding and growing. You're an eternal being. So because you're an eternal being, that's the true essence of you. There's really the deeper truth here. The deepest truth is there's no really bad or good decisions. Now you could say that in this time space reality, in this life that you call life, that yes, if you make a certain decision, let's say for a CEO of a company makes a decision and it destroys the company, everybody would say that's a bad decision, right? Everybody would say that that's a bad decision. Or if you make a decision, and you invest in something, you make a decision and you end up making 10x dollars, everybody would say that that's a good decision, right? But those judgments, bad and good, are really in this physical time, space, reality, consciousness, this plane, which is temporary for all of us, because our soul lives on forever. So when we start to look at our decisions from a much deeper perspective, or what you could say the higher perspective, a much bigger, higher perspective, then you start to see what those decisions that you've made, you put it into context, you put it into aha moments, you put it into empowering moments. And so what it is so, for example, if you take an example of, let's say, I spent, somebody just told me recently, I'm 35 years old. I met this gentleman when I was 30, and we've been together between 30 to 35. And now we broke up. We were living together and now we broke up. I regret the fact that I went into a relationship with this person because we never got married. So this person felt that they wasted 5 great years of their life. And now she's 35 and she feels like, oh, I'm getting older. I'm not going to be as marketable to get married. Or if you want children, the time is ticking, right? And so what it is that's a regret. That's a bigger regret because now you spent 5 years of your life with somebody that you're not going to be with for the rest of your life, right? But what it is that decision that she had made those 5 years was the process of her soul's journey and expansion. She needed to be, everything has a process, a precursor, a cause and effect. Your soul needs to be on a very unique, specific journey to be able to expand and grow. So the thing is what she learned a lot of things from that relationship was that she needed to, her soul needed to learn a lot of things from being in that relationship. Because if she wasn't in that relationship for 5 years, she wouldn't come out on the other side learning valuable lessons for her soul. There was no way that now she honors herself more. She respects herself more. She sees that she's worthy, that she's worthy of love, worthy of being honored, worthy of being of having the right partner. Those are the lessons that she learned from this relationship, that she is to be honored and respected and worthy of that kind of relationship. Now, if she had not gone through that 5 years, and it took her 5 years to learn that lesson, that's what it's going to take. Maybe for some people, it'll take 10 years. Maybe for some people, it'll take 2 years. Maybe for some people, it'll take 3 months. But the fact is that you have such a unique soul's journey. Your path is so unique that you're going to learn it the way you're going to learn it in the timing that you're going to learn it. It's different for everyone because your soul's journey is so unique to you. So there was no way that she was going to learn that lesson to honor herself and raise her standards in relationships for her to be respected and honored unless she had gone through that for 5 years. Do you see what I'm saying? So it was the precursor. It was what she needed. It was what her soul needed. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about a much higher lesson here. It's the lesson for your soul. And this physical experiences that you're having in this, what you call this life, in this time, space, reality, consciousness, is what you need for your soul's expansion and journey. And every soul's path in this life is going to look different. It's going to look different for each and every one of you. So from a third party perspective, looking at that, you know, somebody said, oh God, you wasted 5 years. Why did you do that? Why did you waste 5 years? So somebody's looking at her and saying, you couldn't see that person wasn't right for you? You couldn't see it? Of course she couldn't see it because it's her journey. She couldn't see it until that 5 years was over. And so when somebody judges you for that decision and starts to judge you, ignore it. Ignore it. Ignore that white noise. Because they're not on your journey. They're not on your path. They're not on your soul's expansion and growth, right? Nobody's on that journey except you. So when somebody's judging those decisions that you've made, throw it out the window. Throw it out the window. The most important thing is that you're learning from that journey and that experience. No matter how long it took to learn it, regardless of how you needed to learn it, that is your unique path and journey. So everything has a cause and effect. It has a precursor. It's the yin and yang. The only way that she was going to learn to be worthy is to be treated without worthiness from her partner, right? The only way that she was going to learn to honor herself was to be treated in a relationship where she wasn't honored. The only way that she was going to learn to have self-worth is to be treated without worthiness. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's a precursor to her learning, expansion, and growth. That's why it's a process. The life is always about the process, and there's no end game here. There's no destination here. There's no destination. The destination might be, I'm going to get married and have kids. And so I've got to meet the man now. And if I spent 5 years with somebody and I did not get married, that is a waste of my time and energy because I didn't get to the marriage. The fact is that some people may get married and some people won't in this life. That's part of the journey. That's part of your soul's journey. And there's nothing wrong with any of those scenarios. There's nothing wrong with any of those scenarios, whether you get married or you don't, or whether you have your kids or not. That doesn't really matter. What's mattering is your soul. Is it expanding? Is it growing? Is it learning those lessons? And the way it's going to learn it is the way you're going to learn it. Because you're unique. Your path is unique. Your journey is unique. So rather than saying, oh my God, that was the worst decision I've made, and dwell on that regret because now you think you're 35 years old and you're getting older and you want to have a husband, kids, rather than regretting, say, wow, I learned so much. I came out of that, this greater person of expansion and growth. And I know that I am in my soul's eternal journey of expansion and growth. I know I'm on that journey. That this life is just temporary, but I am an eternal being. So that was part of the soul's journey and growth. That 5 years was part and parcel of that journey of expansion and growth. So while you have a right to regret it for a week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month, right? Because, when you dissolve a 5-year relationship, there's going to be some level of trauma, some level of disappointment, some level of regret, right? Some level of sadness, right? You have a right to acknowledge some of those emotions that you're going through because of the breakup. But if you stay in that regret for the rest of your life, or for months on end or years on end, it's not going to move your life forward, because what's going to happen is you're going to block your energetic flow. You're going to block yourself from allowing somebody far more fabulous to come into your life. The universe already has another person there waiting for you. But when you stay in the energy of regret and you dwell on that energy, you've blocked your energy. You've blocked that energetic flow. You've put up a dam. And even though the universal forces wants to bring you somebody more fabulous, more amazing, that person can't come in because you're dwelling on this regret. That's what's going on. That's why you're not moving your life forward. Now, on the other hand, if you say, wow, those 5 years, what did I learn? Wow, I learned this. I learned to honor myself. I learned to have self-worth. I learned to have self-love. I know that the universal force is gonna bring me somebody even more fabulous in the divine timing, and I'm not worried about that. You freed up that energy. You freed up your energetic space, and you've made room energetically for that other better person, the far better person to come in. That's how you're moving your life forward. Okay, so let's see if there's any questions here. If you have any questions about this topic, let me know. Okay. You're welcome, Perry says, thanks for sharing your time and your wisdom with me and everyone. You're welcome. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Value of our strengths and weaknesses in honesty and not letting circumstances distract and hold us captive with regrets. Yes, very wise. Hardships and past injustices and difficulties are likely to happen, and they are very important for our understand what is needed for our best life unfolding in mystery moment by moment. I love that. Mystery moment by moment. That is a beautiful way of looking at this. Yes, it's a mystery of moment by moment. And rather having that fear of that mystery, because a lot of us may have fear of the unknown, it's having the excitement of what's to unfold. What's to unfold, the adventure of the unfolding of the unknown. But the more you could free up that energy within yourself with saying, yes, I have faith in the process. Yes, universal forces has my back. Yes, God has my back. Yes, I'm confident. Yes, I'm worthy. Yes, I'm creative. Yes, I'm resourceful. Yes, I'm good enough. You've opened up that energetic space so that you can be a vibrational match to abundance, prosperity, positive experiences. And regret is one of those energies that just bring you down. So there's a story that I remember. There was a story that Dr. Joe told. This was a beautiful story. Dr. Joe Dispenza. I remember, I never forget the story that he told. For those of you who know who Dr. Joe is, I love him. I think he's amazing. This is a story that he told. There was two women, right? And both women got divorced. Their husband left them for another woman, right? Two women, both husbands left them for another woman. One woman, after the divorce, she started to exercise and work out and take courses and better herself, right? She says, oh, I'm going to now better myself. I'm going to become a better person. I'm going to expand and grow. I'm going to take courses. I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn that. And then the other woman, when she had the divorce, she thought it was the worst thing that happened to her life. The worst thing that happened to her life. So now when you look 30 years later, you look at each of their lives, the woman who went out and did things and learned and expanded and grew, she ended up marrying and meeting a fabulous man, and she's living her best life now. She's living her magical, wonderful life. And she said, the best thing that happened to me was that I got divorced 30 years ago. Because if I had not gotten divorced, I wouldn't have done all those amazing things and met this amazing man. The second woman who thought that it was the worst thing in her life, that divorce was the worst thing in her life, she dwelled on that regret for 30 years. She dwelled on, and she was just mired with resentment, anger, hate that her husband left her. So 30 years later, she's single and she's poor. She's got nothing going in her life. And she's still dwelling on the regret that her life, she ever met that ex-husband. You see the difference of what happens when you dwell in regret versus uses the opportunity to expand and grow? That one person's life went just skyrocketed and just took off because she saw that divorce as an opportunity to have self-improvement and self-growth and expansion. Whereas the other woman, she basically dwelled and said that that was the worst thing that happened in her life. And she dwelled in that regret didn't do anything to self-improve. And so 30 years later, she's by herself with no money and miserable. So that's the perfect example of how you approach your life decision and how you see it. And based on how you see it, the subsequent actions come forth. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, okay, let's say Vivian. Hey, Moon, I hope you are well. What happens if you had a quarrel with a person and decide to forgive them and bury the hatches and do good towards them, but they push you away and are kept receptive? Okay, so if they're pushing you away, let them be. Don't force, don't control, don't manipulate. If they're not responding, then so what? So what? Is that person end all be all for your soul's expansion and growth? Absolutely not. There's nobody on this planet that's end all be all for your soul's expansion and growth. And yes, you might have some regret that, maybe the relationship is not moving forward, but you'll get over it in divine timing. You'll get over it in timing. That person's not end all be all for your expansion and growth. Nobody is. So what you do is you say, okay, God, thank you for showing me. Just let that person be. Don't try to push. Don't try to force. Don't try to manipulate. Don't try to control. And don't think too much of it. If the person is not ready to resume that relationship, then that person is not ready. Again, remember I talked about your individual soul's journey? That's that person's individual soul's journey. Don't take it personally. It's not really about you. It's really about that person. What is that person ready for, not ready for? And that person has his or her own unique journey and will need to do things in their own timing. So let them go on their path and don't dwell on it too much and move forward with your life. And maybe that person will come in later. Maybe the person won't come in later. Doesn't matter for you. What matters for you is that you're growing, expanding, you're moving your life forward. And if this person doesn't want to participate in a healthy way with a relationship with you, then so what? You let them be. Just let them be. Don't try to control. Don't try to manipulate. Don't try to force anything. Just say, okay, keep moving your life forward. Keep moving your life forward. Because we don't know what their soul's journey is. We don't know anything about them, really, and what they're supposed to learn in this life. We don't know that. We let God take care of that. Let them be on their journey and just keep moving forward. And maybe that person will come in the right timing, maybe not. Doesn't matter. Don't put your energy on that, because when you dwell on that, you're wasting energy that you could be using to create, to build for your future. Anytime you put attention into that and it disturbs you, you're wasting your energy. And energy is what you need to create, build for your future. Everything is energy. So don't waste your energy on dwelling on why this person is not receptive or not responding. That's a waste, okay? Because that's not your journey. That's that person's journey. So I hope I helped you there, but it was a really good question. Thank you so much for that question. Okay, another question. How to deal with regret of doing negative things or not acting right towards others? Okay, that's a really good question. How do I deal with the regret of doing things that I know was wrong? That's a great question. Okay, so what it is that we're talking about values and morals here, right? That was wrong. What I did was wrong. But the fact that you recognize that now that it was wrong, you should give yourself a lot of credit. That's a beautiful thing. Because a lot of times there are times when people won't even recognize, they'll go on their entire life in this life and not recognize that what they did was wrong. So the fact that you recognize that now is so beautiful. Give yourself a lot of credit. And you have to understand it's a process. The precursor to knowing is unknowing. So what it is this, is that was the precursor. That which you did wrong was the precursor to understanding that what you did was wrong. Because if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't recognize now that it was wrong. You needed to experience that. That was the precursor to where you are now, that you understand that it's wrong. Your soul needed to learn that lesson by doing wrong. And that's the most important thing. The most important thing here is not necessarily that you did that wrong, but you're taking accountability for it now by recognizing that it was wrong, and you're not going to be doing it in the future. So you learn that lesson. You see, in order to learn the lesson of what is right, you needed to do something wrong. And especially when we are younger, right? I'm sure I've done things in my teenage years that I'm not proud of, in my 20s that I'm not proud of. I'm not sure exactly what they were, but I know I've done things because now I'm in my now I'm much older, in my 50s, so that's the reason that I don't remember. But I know I've done things in when I was teenage 20s that I would not morally agree with now. But that's the precursor to knowing that you did wrong and that you're not going to be doing that, and you're going to make better decisions, right? So don't keep regretting it. Just say, what did I learn during that situation? And you've learned the lesson because you're saying, I knew it was wrong and I'm not going to do that anymore. And that's what the universal forces want you to do, is just to learn. It's the process of life. And as you keep learning, you're expanding, growing. Because that's all your soul wants to do. Your soul just wants to expand and grow. That's it. And so there's a process to getting there. There's a process to expanding. Because if you knew everything now, if you learned all the lessons, what would your soul be doing now? Nothing, right? There's no reason to even come into this physical time-space reality unless you're going to learn lessons. And there's a process to learning those lessons. Otherwise, you wouldn't even come into this time-space reality called life. Your soul wouldn't even come here if you knew everything and learned everything, right? So give yourself a lot of credit for recognizing that. And it's obvious that you've learned your lesson because you're saying that I knew it was wrong. So there you learned your lesson. Say, yes, I learned my lesson. Thank you, God, for your forgiveness. Thank you, God, for your forgiveness, as I was ignorant at that point. That point, I was ignorant. And thank you for your forgiveness. And thank you for letting me learn this lesson for my future. So that's a really, really great question over there. Okay, so let's see. Is there any other questions that you guys might have that I could be of service to you? What's done is done. Allow the lessons that you have experienced and move on with your own life, and the focus on living more intentionally. Great point. Live more intentionally. And I think when you recognize what that you've done is wrong, you are living more intentionally, right? Because you're reflecting on that. And that reflection is an intention. And then you're saying, yes, I won't make that mistake again. That's an intention that you've set for the future to live more mindfully, more intentionally. I like that word a lot, Perry. Intentional living, mindful living, focusing yourself to a path of growth and expansion by learning the lessons of the future. And if you have that relationship, you can even, and if that person is still in your life, you could go to that person and say, hey, at the time, this was many years ago, I did this. I regret doing it. I'm sorry. And I bet you if the person is a very reasonable, fair-minded person, that person will immediately forgive you. Or if that person is no longer in your life, then just say a prayer. Ask God for forgiveness, because God will always forgive you, right? Say, God, I did this. I acknowledge that I did it. It was wrong. Please forgive me. And I forgive myself, because at that time, I didn't know better. I was what they call ignorant, right? I didn't know better. So now I know better. So I forgive myself. God forgives me. And I'm going to move my life forward in a better way with more intentional and mindfulness, right? So that's what I would do. Ask God for forgiveness. God always forgives. Forgive yourself for being ignorant. We're all ignorant. All of us are still ignorant. There are aspects of our life that we are all still ignorant about. That because the journey of expansion and growth and learning is forever. It never stops. You never stop learning. You never stop growing. You never stop expanding. So even as you know things now that you've done wrong, there are things that our soul is still learning. That's why we're still here. If I didn't have any more lessons to learn, I wouldn't even be here anymore. I know I wouldn't be here. I'm here because of God's grace. God's grace of saying, you need to experience all of these things and learn for the expansion and growth of your soul. Okay. HR Voyer. Hello, me again. Last time I asked you about mixing religions, you said, why not if they are not conflicting? Did you mean if I don't see that they are conflicting or teachings themselves or not? Okay, so what you're saying is this. Yes. It's really about your path. Everybody has a different path on this life, the soul's journey path, right? And so what it is that as long as you're not harming others, as long as these views are not harming others, but you're expanding and growing and you're making a positive impact in the world, then it's okay. Even if other people say that, I have some people in my family that are fundamental, I don't want to really talk about, I don't want to judge them, but they believe that some of my beliefs, like, I have lots of Buddha statues in my home, and they don't agree with that. There are people in my family that believe that the Buddha is kind of like something of a disguise, some negative energy in disguised as Buddha, but really negative energy. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that. The Buddha energy has made me feel that I've come home to my soul and made me feel that I'm expanding and growing. So what person out there is to tell me that the Buddha is not helping me, right? When I feel that it's helping me. Now, does it mean that I'm not going to change and shift my views later, maybe 5 years later, 10 years later, maybe, Jesus will speak to me more than Buddha, right? Doesn't mean that I'm not shifting and changing in the future. Who knows? So the person in my family has beautiful intentions towards me. I know this, but can't tell me that, unless I'm harming somebody in the name of Buddha, which I'm not doing, all I'm trying to do is help others and empower others to their higher self, to their infinite potential. That's what I do. I can't, that person in my family can't tell me that doing this or believing in this, subscribing to this is wrong. So this is where you have to be an independent thinker and understand what is right for your soul and be honest about it. Nobody's saying be inauthentic and be, just be brainwashed, right? Nobody's saying that. Be a critical thinker. Evaluate when people say things to you, evaluate it. Does it feel like it resonates with you? Does it feel true to your heart and soul? Because if it feels true to your heart and soul, and your gut will know it, your intuition will know it, then take it in. If it doesn't feel true to your heart and soul, then throw it out. That's how you make decisions about your own life. Just because somebody tells you something doesn't mean it's true for you. It's got to be true for you. Now, there's also, truth that is outside of us, truth of the higher consciousness truth, right? There's truth of the universal forces truth. You want to make sure that you're connected to that universal truth. And so does this religion and mixing these two things speak to that, the truth that is deep within your soul that is connected to the universal truth? Because if it does, if it resonates, then use it, apply it in your life. As long as you're not harming others and harming society, why not? That's what I say. So that's my answer to that. Be an independent thinker. Evaluate. See if it resonates in the deepest part of you. Because if it resonates the deepest part of you, and it connects with the truth of the universal forces, then yes, universal forces of love, compassion, learning, growing, expanding, making contributions and feeling that expansion and growth in a positive way. And if that resonates with you, and if it's allowing you to do that, then yes, bring it into your life. And because when you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to impact the world in a positive way. Because the way you behave, the way you interact with people and interact with people in this world is going to be positive. And people are going to be inspired by you and your energy. Okay, so I hope I was able to clarify that. Okay. Hi, Aurora Lily Rose. What a beautiful name. I love that. Aurora Lily Rose. How do you lead your life? So when family is toxic, even when society at large looks down on this, how do you lead your life when your family is toxic? Okay. That's a really good question. So what it is that everything is about a lesson. So you can say, what is the lesson that, my family is toxic? God, why am I among toxic people? Especially family, right? That's hard. That's a hard one because if it's just a coworker or if it's just a stranger, then, you don't have to deal with them all the time, right? But if it's family, you have to deal with them, interacting with them a lot more, right? Or you might have to even live with them. In some cases, you might have to live with them. So what you're trying to do is, what I would do is I would evaluate that situation. I would say, God, why am I surrounded by toxic family members? Write it down. Write down all the things that your family is doing to you, saying, my family is always judging me. My family is always putting me down. My family is always saying negative things about everybody. My family is always complaining. My family is always, so write down all the things that you're seeing, why they're toxic. Why are they toxic? And then on the other side, you're saying, okay, what lesson do you want me to learn from each of these toxic qualities that I'm seeing in my family? What is the lesson that you're trying to have me learn? The Buddha always says, your enemies are your greatest teachers. Your enemies are your greatest teachers. So on the other column, you say, okay, my family is always judging everybody. I don't like that. What lesson can I learn? Oh, I need to learn the lesson of not judging others so much. That doesn't mean you're not going to be discerning. There's a difference between being judgy and being discerning. Discerning is observing situations and then making the right decision for your life. Judging is making statements about others and putting them down that may or may not be true because there's some lack in you. There's some lack in you that you have. And so you're putting other people down. That's more judging. Discerning is seeing the situation and making the right decision for you. So if your family is judging so much, you're saying, okay, is there something in me that judges others? And you might have an aha moment and just write down, oh, yes. Well, how many times do you judge others? How many times do you look at others and say things about them that is in a very negative light? And how can you purify that and cleanse that inner judging? And so as you do this exercise and you start to cleanse your own inner world, because it's all about that cleansing of that lower frequency energies. Because as you cleanse, what's happening is that these people will show up, and what's going to happen is these family, there are two things will happen. Either one, they're going to show up less judgy, or two, they're going to show up less and less in your life, or not at all. Because it's the frequencies that match. Every time you raise your frequency, so right now it's this, so you cleanse yourself, now you're at this frequency, so it's like this. You're trying to be passing ships to those toxic energies. So right now you're meeting this. If you raise your frequency by cleansing those things, you're doing this, 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 this. So those people either have to level up to stay in your life, or if they continue to stay here and you continue to do this, this is what's happening. You're passing ships. So it's about that internal cleansing. Cleanse internally. Okay? So I hope I have helped you with that. Okay. Okay, how to deal with situations of very low energy when you feel like you don't have energy or mood for things you usually enjoy. How can you get back to high energy era? Okay. So what it is the first thing is to say, okay, everything is ebb and flow. Ebb, valley, peaks, valley peaks, valley peaks, valley peaks, ebb, flow, yin, yang. So during the times when you don't have as much energy, then just honor that, acknowledge it. I don't have that much energy right now. That means I need to step away from what I'm doing and take a break from it. That's what it's telling you. And do something completely different. Stop working on that or stop focusing on that because it's draining your energy. So that's your body's way of saying, stop, move on to something else. Maybe spend time with nature, spend time with family, spend time with friends. Go take a trip somewhere, whatever it is, they're telling you to stop because it's just draining your energy. And so do the things that make you feel like your energy is coming back up. You're filling that energy up again. You're filling up the tank of gasoline. See yourself as like a car where you've got to have a full tank of gasoline. And now the gas is, getting lower, and the car is not going to run at some point, right? When it has no more gasoline. So you've got to refill that gasoline, right? Well, you've got to refill it, but don't do the things that you keep doing it. You keep doing because that's what's keep lowering that energy. Refuel yourself, refuel your gasoline. Do the things that make you feel you're coming home to your soul, that make you feel that you have faith in universal forces, that make you feel like you are worthy. Do the things that fill up that gasoline. Okay, so that's it. Okay, everyone. You're welcome, Aurora. Okay, so I think I've answered the question. So this is beautiful. So again, reminder, 69 moons, herbs, Yuping Fang San Plus, Xiaoyao San Plus, based on traditional Chinese medicine herbal formulas. We added additional herbs for better efficacy. And the reason why I love traditional Chinese medicine herbs is because it's based on energetic principles: qi, life force energy, yin yang energies, and the 5 elements: the water, the earth, the metal, wood, fire. And that's why I love TCM, and I take it every day myself. So wonderful. So let's do a closing prayer. Dear God, angels, spirit guides, and masters, divine creator, thank you so much for allowing us to open the sacred space on this topic of regretting life's decisions. Thank you so much for empowering each and every one of us, and especially these beautiful viewers on this Zoom live session, on how to see their regrets in a different light, how to use it to empower them as opposed to disempower them, to empower them to grow, expand, improve, nurture themselves. Understand that it's a beautiful lesson for their own expansion and growth. We thank you for your continued support, your continued wisdoms, your continued guidance, your continued protection, and most importantly, your unconditional love. And so it is.